Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Streaming Safari here at the Lion Habitat Ranch. It's a little windy outside, so we're coming to you from inside today, but that means we get to be joined by Popeye. Hi Popeye. You want to talk to them? No? You got nothing to say today? Alright. Well, of course, Popeye and I would like to thank anybody who's been able to make any donations to us, help us out on Amazon Smile, on Inspiring Donations with Smiths, I got it right, and or has been able to come out to the ranch to see us. We are a nonprofit. My favorite way to help us out is just coming to see us and hanging out with us and hanging out with our birds and hanging out with our lions and, of course, hanging out with our giraffe, which we did a lot last week. And similar to last week, we're going to be doing a bubble experiment, but of course all of those links for donations and all of that awesome stuff is right down below. I think we have a link tree now, which is fancy. Denise set that up and it's super fancy. You guys should be able to hear me. Let's just double check. All right. Anything else I need to mention? Do we have anything coming up?
World Giraffe Day.
World Giraffe Day is
the 21st, but we're celebrating on the 18th and 19th.
If you didn't hear that, that was the 21st, and we are going to be celebrating on the 18th and 19th, because I think the 21st is a Wednesday. Tuesday. And we are closed Tuesday and Wednesday. We are open. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, buddy. You're good. You're chilling. You need a snack? Need a snack? Okay. We are open Thursday through Monday from 10 to 2. And come see us. All right, so what we have today is going to be something a little bit similar to what we did last week. So last week we made some bubbles. We talked about surface area. We talked about how bubbles work. And we know that generally when we blow a bubble, no matter what shape we blow the bubble from, when that bubble appears, if I can make them appear, we shall see. Nope, can't. My soapy solution that I made might not have enough bubble. Add a little more soap. So I've made this soapy concoction this week. Last week we were using a store-bought one. There we go. There's a couple. And they come out as perfect spheres. And that is going to be because a sphere is going to have the lowest amount of surface area for the biggest amount of volume, essentially. So this is the most energy efficient way for these molecules to create a formation. And you have air pressure inside that's pushing up and air pressure from the outside that's pushing in. So what we're going to talk about today a little bit too are things called minimal surface. And things with minimal surface, generally what you want is a absolutely flat surface, something that's actually going to be the minimum amount of surface area for the local area. So it's kind of confusing, it's a little bit mathy, but what it means is similar to how our bubble is trying to create something that requires the least amount of energy. I'm not doing well with bubbles today.
Much more successful last week.
Here, I'm not going to take out the store-bought bubbles because I believe in myself. So we're talking about what is going to use the least amount of energy. And so for all of the things that we try with the bubbles today, I want you to be thinking about why might that shape or the shape that the bubbles are taking be the least amount of energy. So we're talking about a little bit of math. Still doesn't want to do it. We're talking about a little bit of math, but we're going to talk about it in the form of bubbles. So what you're going to want to do is get some things that allow you to make some shapes. And some of the easiest things that you can get a hold of are pipe cleaners and straws. And so with my pipe cleaners and straws, I've actually made us a little cube here that we're going to dip in some bubbles in a minute. So the straws are just over the pipe cleaners and the pipe cleaners are tied together. And then I do also have some wire. And if you are using wire and cutters for your wire, make sure you do have an adult present with you if you're a little one. If you're an adult doing this, which I'm having very, very fun times with this experiment as I was practicing it for you guys. So if you're an adult doing it, you might want to have another adult with you to get excited with you. So just be really careful if you guys are using sharp objects, scissors, etc. This is just really nice. The wire is really nice just because you can form it into different shapes really easily. You don't have to completely construct something. So what I want to start with is actually taking one of my wire rings. You doing okay, Popeye? Yeah. He likes to show off his tail for you guys. So what I'm going to take is one of my wire rings, and when I dip it into the bubble solution, a bubble should come out, and what you're going to see is a very clear surface. If I move it, hopefully it'll reflect a little for you guys. And when I have that surface, it doesn't bend at all. Even when I hold this disc horizontally, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't come down with the weight of gravity or go up. This is as minimal of a surface as it can essentially make. And then what we can do is we can take a different piece of wire and maybe see what happens when we make a curve. So if I take, I'm going to get a little bit of a longer piece. Instead of having this shape be a circle, what if I make it into kind of like a funky disc, roundish shape like that?
Sure, that looks great.
Looks great? All right. Denise says it looks great. I think it looks great. When I take it out, it ends up looking like a Pringle. It's not actually following the exact curvature of the wire itself. Can you see that? Kind of? Kind of. And it kind of bounces around. So hopefully you guys can see that. And if you try it yourself, you should be able to see that it's actually looking to use the least amount of surface possible. And that's causing it to actually turn in on the inside. Pop again. Again, play with your ratios for your bubble solution. Maybe if I add a little more soap. What you don't want, though, is if you're using dish soap for this, for it to get bubbly on top, because then when you dip your object in, it's going to take kind of the bubbles, the frothiness with it, and it'll pop your bubbles. So I'm trying to get the right ratios with avoiding creating a lot of bubbles on the top when I'm mixing it together. So you can make all kinds of different shapes like this. One form that's very, very energy efficient. What were you going to say? Unique. It is also a unique form. Is a helix. So a helical form, which you might think of as like DNA form helixes. So this is a very scientifically relevant shape. And when I dip this into the bubble should actually follow the helix. So you can make this helix with anything. I've just used a pen and some wire to wrap around it. You can make a fancier one, a longer one. And the bubble will follow along the helix, but not like on the outside of the helix or create a sphere around it or anything like that using the other edges. It's going to create the shape that is most energy efficient. And something really cool happens when you get a cube shape. So if I dip part of this, hopefully it'll grab it. If I dip only one of my squares in, it's going to have, again, a flat surface, just like it did with the circle shape with my wire. But when I dip the entire cube in, hopefully it'll work, what we'll see, if I grab all the sides, missed a side, takes a little practice. Is I've got all the sides covered, and what I want is for there to be a little bit more connection for us. So there we go. That's what we're looking for. You see what happened?
Oh yeah, you can see it. And
So it actually forms the parts of as my bubbles pop as I move it around. I'll do it again. There will actually be a little box that forms inside as the edges try to escape and attach to one another. So you can actually see this edge starting to pull along the side. And if I move it around, that'll kind of manipulate it. But if you get it in the perfect spot, you'll form that little shape on the inside. And you can even blow a bubble inside of it, which is pretty neat. Oh, there we go. A little bit. Of course, when we have
We got it
the
once.
film on, there you go. That's kind of got it. Just the bottom doesn't show it. So I've got it on one side, where they're all kind of grabbing into each other. And there we go. So this is where it's finding the most energy efficient shape, essentially. And then as it pops, different sides let go, which is pretty cool to see too. And then one last thing I want to show you, and I want you to think about how the developing surfaces work, is if I create another bubble with my circular wire, and I get a little bit of a longer piece of string, so this is just some regular string I'm going to place on here. Bless you, Popeye.
Papa, you're such a good assistant.
You are a very good assistant. So what I'm going to try to do is form a bubble and then set this string on top of it. Now, when
Bubble solution is not great.
when I set the string on it, let me dip both. I'm not going to set it down. It might be a little too heavy. We'll see. So see how it's got this like weird kidney bean shape? Hopefully, if I pop that center one, you see how it turned into a circle? So all of the bubble solution around it is actually pulling it to form into that minimalist shape. And I think it's kind of cool too because it looks like it's floating. So if I do it again, right, I can set it down in not a spherical shape, but then when I pop the bubble in the center of it, it should, without breaking, there you go, it turns into a circle. And then you've got magic. So think about how all of these different areas give us the most efficient way for that shape to be formed. And this is really relevant to thinking about science in terms of talking about things like even black holes, talking about DNA in a helix, and how things form together in a way that requires the least amount of energy and doing stuff. We like to require the least amount of energy too, don't we, Popeye? Yeah. Are we lazy? A little lazy. That's okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our streaming safari today, and thank you for joining us, Popeye. We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.